On June 18, 1941, the Army organized the 711th Railway Operating Battalion. Its first mission, to renovate the 4.5-mile railroad that served Fort Belvoir, including thousands of ties, several bridges, and 20 culverts, within 48 days. Their next mission was to move to Camp Claiborne, Louisiana, and lay 50 miles of track between Camp Claiborne and Fort Polk. The C&P Railroad, built by over 6,000 troops, was given a different name as training began, the Crime and Punishment Railroad. Because it was built on unstable ground, derailments were common. To make training even more realistic, rail along the line would be blown up or otherwise sabotaged, so maintenance teams could train in rebuilding them. The Office of Strategic Services found another use for these volatile railways, devising the standard operating procedures for derailing a train. With these two groups working in proximity, the U.S. and Allied forces wrote the book on wartime rail operations. Now, 85 years later, the U.S. Army returns to Fort Polk with the USA's Engineer Research and Development Center and a coalition of Allied forces to write the next chapter.
To our knowledge, the last time that there was any kind of Army rail sabotage testing was conducted in 1940s. And so obviously back then there weren't high-speed cameras, there weren't all the various sensors that we have today. And so having a modern test gives us more fidelity and gives us more information to feed models that we didn't have back in the day. So we can look at predictive models on if we know a given condition of a track and we apply a certain munition to it, we know we can expect the damage and we can model it, and then we know how to make the repairs to that damage.
Bridge roadblock is set and secured.
Roger. Jeff, you got everybody in the hats?
Everybody's in the hat.
All right, there's gonna be a 10-second countdown. The last 5 seconds will be silent. That'll give you a chance to stop and you can see something that needs to be stopped. Arm it up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
For the last week, we've been out here constructing a research test section to explore weapons effects on a railroad track. We're also deploying a rail repair kit, and we're also deploying prototype sensors to evaluate track structural capacity. We have one test section going on where we're actually doing the weapons effects. We're also building a training area for the 46th Engineer Battalion to continue training after we leave this event. So the last 2 years, ERDC has provided rail repair training to the 46th Engineer Battalion on simulated bomb damage repair. So this year we were able to provide real bomb damage repair scenarios. I'm proud to be a part of this team that conducted this effort. Feel very fortunate to be able to participate in this type of experiment and make history, right? We've got 6 nations involved. I'm not sure when the last time something like this, a joint exercise has happened like that. So it's very fulfilling to see all this come together and culminate into a successful exercise. So we've got the American forces from the 46th Engineer Battalion. We've also got members from the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, the Italians, Colombians, and the Guatemalans. And so we're having those people here to hopefully standardize repair methodologies across our partner nations, because right now there isn't a standardized repair, especially in NATO. So if we can come up with a standardized repair that we can deploy out in a contingency environment, the more interoperability that we have between units, right? So if we can deploy this Connex box that we have here and drop it out into a LZ, we can have a set of checklists or flow charts that the soldiers can use to assess the damage and then use the tools in the kit to make the repairs. It doesn't matter their language, railroad track has to be repaired the same way. It requires ballast, it requires cross ties. They can be steel or they can be wood, but it doesn't matter. It's all the same process. You got to have a good road bed, a good subgrade to start the process, just like you would a road or any other infrastructure. Sometimes you might be in an environment where you cannot communicate effectively. And so you might need to have these standardized tools and techniques where you don't have to worry about the language. Everybody knows what they're doing. It's spelled out. It's step by step and makes it, easier to do.
We have been talking with many of the soldiers that are out here, providing insights on the prototype rail repair kit that we have. They're providing what we need to make it better for a contingency environment. If this was to deploy somewhere, they're saying, hey, you need this, you need that, trying to make it overall better. I think this went well. It helps us learn what we need to do next time, since this has not been done in a very long time, and this gives us a little starting point of what we need to do in moving forward. Originally, this project just started out in-house, so we were going to use a bunch of the technicians that we have on staff. When we went to EX Turnout 24, the 507 specialist team of Royal Engineers entertained the idea of coming here to the States, and was like, it would be nice to be able to come to the U.S. and see the infrastructure that you have, to get different insights of what there has to offer, because stuff that we have overseas versus here in the U.S., infrastructure is totally different. So by allowing them to come over here and start working through the works of that, we were able to make things happen to make this a NATO event.
So 507 is a group of specialist reservist engineers who work on the UK rail network, and as their reserve career they provide specialist rail engineering capability into the British Army and also to our NATO partners. And so we've come together here to provide training to get uniformity of skills between the teams, and also to work with the ERDC team from the US Army Corps of Engineers to do some battlefield damage testing on railways, so we can have better scientific understanding of how that happens, how we'd repair it, and what effect that has on the railway network, which is key infrastructure for a military intervention. So this is really interesting to see how a modern munition affects railway infrastructure. The British Army hasn't done any testing on modern track components since about the late 1980s. Technology has moved on and weaponry has moved on. So this provided us an opportunity both to get a better understanding of that, but also to build a relationship with the 46th Engineer Battalion, who is in essence our sister unit of railway specialists, but who we haven't worked with previously. So this builds a new relationship and brings another member of the family into the NATO rail engineering team. What we're trying to understand is how long a repair will last when we do it. In a contingency situation, it may be that there are one or two key trains that we just need to get over to keep the front line going. So this testing allows us to look at those different scenarios and see how little work that we can do to keep a safe network running, and is there any further efficiencies that we can get from a military side to mean that there are less tools, troops, materials that need to go out and be exposed to risks out on, a front line or in a key defensive position.
There definitely is a little bit of inconsistency in terms of how we inspect rail, or also how they build rail. In the United States, we use a lot of plastic sleepers. Over in Europe, they use a lot of concrete sleepers, which have different fastening mechanisms. So I think over here, the soldiers definitely got to learn about spikes and hand spiking those, which they might not exactly see overseas, but that was another cool thing, is to see and teach them what we do. And I think that this difference in standards that we're seeing out here is something that we're also trying to fix with the recent NATO rail group that we created. So how can all of these different countries come together? And as we're seeing these differences out here, okay, what are we going to do as a standard whenever we are in the field and we need to figure it out? And what is a standard that all of us can agree upon, where we're all kind of giving a little bit? So we can say, okay, this is the rail that we're going to build, and have these certain standards and these different procedures that are preemptively already written down. So then whenever we get into the field, and normally if it is in that sort of environment, that you're gonna really need to try to have everything figured out before then. So in addition to this exercise is our ability to see the things that we're seeing out here, and the differences in standards and the differences in repair methods, and how do we coincide those together and work together as different countries. You get to meet all these different people from these different countries with different backgrounds, and how can we come together to repair this rail, and how can we do that most efficiently? And then on our side, on the engineering side, what do we need to do to help prepare the soldiers, and also give the soldiers the right tools, the right things in the kit? And I think that that's one of the really good things that we've learned from this exercise, where you have different soldiers from different countries getting to use the kit and get different opinions about it, I think is invaluable to making the kit what it needs to be to really have the ability to repair rail like this in the field.
I am the officer in charge with the Guatemalan Army. For us, it's a new experience because many years ago we don't have a training system. We are really thankful for your training, and for us the training is really interesting. We don't have any experience, but the training that we are having received is very good. In name of the Guatemalan Army, we are very thankful and be really sure that all the knowledge that we have acquired is going to be in practice in our country.
When you think about the repairs, when we think about in a military aspect or contingency aspect of moving a train, do we have a train that's held up because we have an explosion and we've got to get one train across that maybe has 4 or 5 cars, maybe it's loaded with tanks, but it's just one train, right? And so that level of repair is a lot less than what we would need if we're going to do mainline track, right? If we want to build this thing to last many years, or if it's just one case scenario. And so looking at this damage with that contingency base in mind, we use some of our standards that we have that we inspect to normally, but it takes a large profile, meaning the elevation of the track as you look down it, up and down, takes a large profile defect before we have to stop a train. Same thing with alignment. We can have deviation between the rails as they move back and forth before it actually causes the train to stop, right? And so in this case, when we look at this big hole behind us, we just shove some material in it, put the ties back, put the rail back on there, and hopefully we can get one train across if we need to.
Here, we're not really aiming for a sustainment level repair. Right now, we don't have our thresholds defined of what's a one-pass level repair in a contingency operation. And so here, our aim is to provide a contingency-based repair, which is obviously quicker than a sustainment level repair, so that we can start looking at developing thresholds for structural capacity of trains and determine the number of loads over a given area.
Es una excelente experiencia, es un honor.
For us, it's a great honor and an opportunity to be here with various partners with several experience from other forces, and to be able to construct the railway and see the destruction today of the railway and be able to repair the actual railway. I'd like to thank the U.S. Army, all the other partner nations for this experience, for this opportunity, to be able to take this experience back to Colombia and be able to implement it and to build that relationship between the countries.
Hopefully we can get enough data and research compiled together to hopefully get this funded again. That way we can look at different infrastructure of how different materials play a role in different weaponry, and as well as being able to maybe do an EX turnout again over here, collaborating with NATO and allowing the U.S. soldiers as well as other NATO allies to come out here and see what damage that the weaponry does to the track and provide insights to one another and share their knowledge on how to repair it and different repair strategies.